Hey, welcome back to the Crossroad Diecast Speed Shop. I'm Skip, and today in the shop what we have is a 67 Ford Mustang GT. It's a Hot Wheels casting, and it's also the car that I'm going to be using for this month's 4 Horseman June 2025 Barn Find build. And I think that'd be really kind of neat to go into an old barn and find an old Mustang or any other type of pony car or muscle car out there. So we're going to do a little bit to make it a barn find, and let's get it off the turntable, get it up on the rack, and get it taken apart. All right, well, we're back, and we've got our 67 Mustang GT all torn down. Again, this is a brand new casting, so there's nothing too much bad to it or anything like that. Got the bases are drilled and tapped with a 256 screw. MC5s, nice little tires. Put them in with my other tire thing in case I want to use it for another build, but I'm not going to use that on this one. I want it to be a barn find, and I don't think having really flashy chrome wheels on there would be something you find in a barn find. Let's take a look at the interior. Not a lot of detail there on the interior. A little bit between the bucket seats, but that's okay. It's a barn find. Base, a lot of detail on the base. So we're going to we'll detail that up a little bit. So all right, so let's get this thing down off the rack and into the stripper and get started with our project. Coming up in the shop, we have the following builds. We have the Maple Leaf Customs Canada Day build on July 1st. On the 5th, we have Diecast International Builders Demo Derby build. Then I have a special 55 Chevy Bel Air Mini-Me build, and also the 4 Horseman Gasland builds on the end of July. Hope that you'll check them all out. Okay, well, one of the things I've been doing on this one, this is my barn find. There's a lot of things I hope to do with this barn find and show you some things. So I don't want to take a whole lot of time on this, because as you know, a lot of times I like to try to fit the wheels. I took some of the regular Hot Wheels, they're just Steely style wheels, and so I put those in there to replace the ones that were on there, and so that makes a pretty good roller anyways, and that'll go really, really well, I think, with my barn find idea. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we're back, and I got my Mustang. I painted it with a rust brown, and I'm trying a technique I haven't used before, but it's a technique I saw from CDC, Sharon Tarshish, his channel, and some things he uses. And what he did on this one, instead of using the normal water type of a thing, what he did was he actually took white glue. He put white glue, so I'm just going to try it, see how that works, and put white glue on the areas. And what this does a little bit too, you can also it puts it in, and it makes it a little bit easier to put it in the areas where you need to, and stuff, and where you want the rust and it to look like that. It looks like a pretty cool idea. Again, just something different to try. It's, always trying to improve my skill set when it comes to these, because I'm by no means a master. I'm the jack of all trades, master of none type of thing, I think, when it comes to these little die-cast cars. But yeah, so just taking a little bit, some places where maybe there'd be a little bit of rust might show up on the car. And like I say, I'm using this as white glue, and then I'm using just using a brush and trying to touch up some places here on the especially on the front of where it might be, where some rust might show up. And they say that usually they use the water and salt idea, but this was something else he used, and it looked kind of neat. I really like the way his cars turn out. If you ever watch CDC, Sharon Tarshish, you see his channel. It's pretty cool, and all the stuff he does suspensions and things like that, and a little bit more I want to do on the side here. I'm interested to see if I can get mine to come out anywhere as near as good as his does. They definitely. Put a little bit on the front here. So we're going to let that sit on there and dry, and then we'll put a couple coats of paint over it, and then we'll be ready to try some of the rust effects, see how that comes out. All right, let's move on. All right, well, we're back, and we're working on our Barn Find Mustang. As you see, I've already showed you, I'm using Sharon Tarshish idea of using the glue and the salt. I want to try something different I haven't tried before. I also use some antique white, just some cheap stuff you can get from any department store that has it, and I just use that. Now Sharon says, what you do is you put it in some hot water, you dip it in some boiling hot water, and then you just take your toothbrush and just go over the thing. So as you can see, got a lot of some of it even shows some bare metal too, but we can take care of that. We'll just, that gives you a little bit of a look at what that might look like, and we'll do some other touch-up paints and stuff with it just to see what it'll look like. So let's move on. All right, well, I've done a little bit more after I took, like I said, I used the hot water and a toothbrush and put that in. Probably a little bit too hot. Probably should just be warm water, maybe not hot, because there were some chunks that kind of came off. But then I used some of this other orange rust and this yellow ochre again, and I used that. I stippled it in certain places, you can see, and so I'm pretty happy with it. It kind of at least has that kind of a look. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll probably darken in that grill, and then what I will do is I'll probably put a matte clear coat over the top of it just to kind of seal everything in, and then we'll move on. All right, well, we're working on our Barn Find for the Four Horsemen. Again, I used Sharon Tarshish's idea. I'm going to have to do a little bit more. I'm going to have to get a little bit better with it, but I'm not too bad. It's not really too bad. It's got that rusty look, different colors that are in there, little oranges and red, browns and yellows that are in there, kind of to do that up. So what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to take some of this matte varnish, and it's got a dull coat. Should leave a dull coat on there. Put a coat, so just kind of seal it up a little bit before I get ready to do the final assembly. So let's move on. All right, well, this is going to be a barn find, so I thought I would take and make a little tarp, taking some of this tissue paper that you get when you this tissue paper that you get for wrapping packages and things in. So I'm going to just kind of crumple that up a little bit, kind of make it look kind of wrinkly, spread it out a little bit. So it's got that kind of wrinkly look to it that tarp might have. Just to kind of make sure it fits over the car. And it's a little bit long, so I'm probably going to cut a little bit off on that. And just to kind of make it lay down. What I did, though, is I put some of this plastic wrap on there, just the plastic wrap you got in your, probably in your kitchen drawer or whatever, just to do that so it doesn't stick to this. Because this car is another car that I have. It's the same car, but it's another one that I have, and I didn't want to put it onto the model that I'm doing, the casting I'm doing. But I wanted to have something, and this way it won't stick. So I'm going to make a nice thing that can pull it off. I got this idea from Andrew over at Maple Leaf Customs when he did a build not too long ago. So I'm going to put this together, and and then I'll show you what I'm going to take some of this Mod Podge I've got here, and I'll paint it up with that, and I'll show you what I'm going to do in just a moment. Okay, I'm back. I got my thing all crumpled up, tarp all crumpled up, smooth out just a little bit. Take some Mod Podge, and I'll take just some, give a good coating of it onto the tarp, both sides. Yes, it's got a good coating on that, like so. I'll move that out of the way. I got the little car here. I'm gonna just put that down, like so. Make sure it kind of touches both sides as it goes. Kind of looks like somebody kind of pulled it back a little bit, so you can at least see some of the car anyways at all times. Put this, and so we'll leave that on there and see how it come back later and see how it turned out. All right, here we have our 67 Mustang GT Barn Find, all set up and ready to go. It's the build for the 4 Horsemen this month. I took this 67 Mustang GT. I used Sharon Tarshish's idea of taking and using the salt and the white glue onto that to help with the different rust effects. And then I took some different rust effect paints from Vallejo and dashed it up and stuff. Took some wheels, some other wheels off of other Hot Wheels cars that I had, and used a deep dish. I did some white ones and some red ones just to kind of make it a little bit different, because some barn finds usually have different car tires on there. And then I used the idea that my friend Andrew at Maple Leaf Customs had for the tarp. I took a piece of tissue paper, blue tissue paper, and I scrumpled it all up. I laid it over the car, and after I put some Mod Podge on all of it. Before I did that, though, I also took some plastic wrap and wrapped the car up in plastic wrap, and then set that down over it, and so to make it look like that. After it dried and hardened and everything, I took some weathering powder, some of these Tamiya weathering powders, and I kind of tried to dust it up so it looked like something had been sitting in the barn for a while. I'll take that off, though, so you can get a look at, see what it looks like. Without that, you can see all the different rust and things. And try to dust up the windshield a little bit. Looks like the windshield wipers have been running, and try to get the dust off of it and dust it up the back window a little bit. So I had a lot of fun with this build. This was good. It's great to be able to challenge myself, maybe gain a few more little skills and everything on that. And again, I want to invite you to be part of these 4 Horsemen builds. I want to thank our Guest Horseman this month, Steve over at Miniature Mustangs, and I hope you'll check out his build as well as the other 4 Horsemen. And want to invite you to be part of this on behalf of Andrew at Maple Leaf Customs, Paul at Diecast Graveyard, Tom at Sports Syndicate, and myself. We want to invite you to be part of this. This is great. We want to see what people come up with, and you don't have to have social media. All you have to do is take a 16:9 photo with your phone of your build, and do it on a white background, and send it into 4horsemandiecast@gmail.com on the last day of the month, so we can include it into a video recap that we will do, and that way people can see your stuff. And it's a lot of fun to do this. It's great to look what other people did and kind of get ideas off of other people's cars as well. Again, as always, God bless, and thanks for stopping by the shop.